So this was actually where we stopped, where we're using let me see if I use comments. Okay. So we're learning how to reshape our data set in Python using the group by function. So the first thing we did was to import our library, the pandas, and save it as PD. And then we generated this dictionary with these values, with just three attributes or features: the customer, the gen, and the song. So this is the original output of that data set. And the challenge we found here as data scientists is that if you look at this column, customer, we have repeated names. And if you look at the gen, we also have repeated values. And then what we did is that we needed to group them since they are unique. They have unique identity. So we needed to group them, which is the whole essence of the unsupervised machine learning, segmenting the data. And that is possible because we have a customer area who name is what pop, and the song he listened to about 50 songs. And then you have the name repeated. So what we did here is we perform a task like we have highlighted here with our comment that I want to know for each customer how many songs they listen to and how to aggregate them. And that's what we try to do here with our reset method. The reset method is just to enhance the display of our presentation. So let me complete it. Set underscore index. Let me run the entire cell again. Okay, my reset spelling is wrong. All right, so with this, we have a better presentation. Now, if you remember, I think I said there are actually two ways. What we are doing right now falls under what we call row granularity. Do you still remember? This is under row granularity. That is what we are still trying to do, trying to perfect the arrangement of our rows before we move to our column. So if we have been able to have this arrangement, know where exactly we stop. Please, you have to be with your note so that we can know. Now we'll look at the next one was supposed to be using the pivot to turn the gen into columns, because the one we use now is using the group by. And this, I remember under row granularity, I said there are two methods we can use. It's either we use the group by method or we use the pivot method. So let's quickly look at that method. Use pivot method to turn the gen into columns. Into column. So we call the data set again df.pivot. Now here the syntax will change. We'll start with the index equals to the column, the criteria column is a string, so we have to put it in quotes. Then comma. Now, we would like to display them in vertical form, like I told you. So let me just add this. So column is equals to, select the attributes, gen, comma, then the value, the values equals to sums. Now I am adding fill now in case we have NaN, we can always replace it with 0. So I'll just say, so that fill now is another attribute. So you have to come under that fill equals to 0. So in case there's any not a value, it will reset it to 0. So dot reset index now we can close our file now. Supposed to have written all this inside this. This is going to be a problem. Let me do it here. All right, so let me run my code. So pivot got unexpected keyword column. So the spelling error at column. Let's see. Error again. Customer. Customer is, let me check the data set. Okay, it's capital letter. All right, so you can see we have been able to also reshape this data using another method, which is called pivot. Now, all these value that are 0. So what we did, the reason why we supply this fill now, even from data analytics, I believe you must have known this method. So you can just have a better arrangement just to shift it here to be on the same index with others. So the fill now, in case after restructuring your data, you have NaN value, it will automatically convert them to 0. That is the essence of that. The fill now equals to 0. So ordinarily, what we are supposed to have here is the pivots and the declaration of the headers using the index, and then the column and the value to call out all the header. The reason why we say index customer, because that is the first one. That is the first. If you look at the data now, customer is the first one. So that is what is going to use to determine that is going to be the first, that's the one that will be at index 0. Then you declare other ones, columns, and then the value, and then and so on. So you can see that something that we achieve here, you look at this restructuring, is different from the group by. What the group by did actually is to sum up to list out all the unique customers and sum up all the number of songs they listen to. But this one is actually restructuring, which is the main topic, row granularity, which have to do with creating, converting different those columns that are unique into a single column. Those rows that are unique, can see that we have converted them to single columns. Like the pop here now is in this particular column, but in this case, we can see it as row. This particular row is pop, this particular row is pop. So what the function did is to take this unique row and assign them to a column. So wherever you have unique, it took it as a column and then restructure the data. I don't know if you understand what we are doing here. Okay, so I'd like you to share your screen and perform this for me immediately. Let me check if I've allowed you to share your screen, sir. Okay.
Oh.
Hmm?
Yes.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. That field now, I don't think the syntax is correct.
It's not.
Can you hear me?
Hmm?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So that your field now, the syntax, okay, you just got it now. Yeah, 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 let's. Have error there. So let's check the key error. Say data frame what? So are you able to? Your screen is too small. I don't know what you are doing there that's reducing it. It's okay like this. So got unexpected column. Check your spelling of column. Put S there. Good. There's still error. What is it saying this time? Unexpected keyword values. Values. That value should not be capital letter. The V shouldn't be capital letter. That is where the error is. All right, so that is it. All right, just unshare your screen. Let's proceed. All right, so now it assumed that at this point now we have already restructured our data in a way that it can be passed into analysis model, because the essence of all this is for us to have, because the way the data came, we need to reduce the number of columns, which is part of what I told you that you are supposed to do under row granularity. What we did here now, we simply just reduce the height of the data and increase the width. Did you understand that? That's what we did here now. We reduced the height and increased what? The width. And this is a better model for analysis. Now, the next thing we want to achieve is, as it stands right now, this particular data, it is not stored in any variable that can be referenced. So we need to store it in a valid variable. Because as we have it right now, if you call div, let me show you what I'm saying. If we call div, you are still df, you are still having the original data, unstructured data. So which means that this particular one you had put it is not in any valid variable. So the next thing we need to do is to store it, store the final data in a variable. That is the next thing. In a variable. So to do that, all we need to do is to give it a name. Let's say customer. Let's say customer underscore gen, customer underscore gen is equals to, then we copy the whole of this code that generated the whole of this and paste it here. hope I'll be able to copy it. Let me not, the copy is supposed to work, but since it's giving me that, I don't even need to waste my time. We just add it here, customer underscore. Then of course, as usual, we have to call that customer. Could be any name. I just want to use a name that we run it. So what did it say? Name customer gen is not defined. Okay, so no equals to here. Name customer gen is not defined. Oh, my spelling here is correct. Yeah, it's not correct. All right, so I have it now. Now, if I want to check it, I will just call customers underscore gen. Then that's just to say that I have stored the outcome in a valid variable. So the next thing was supposed to be an assignment. But in order to save time, since you have your note there, you write this assignment down. Then, but I will just go through the solution as part of the class, or you take it again and do it later. Are you with me? Okay, so the assignment, if you are writing, from Mr. Prosper, in a bracket, write lead data scientist. Let's be fast with this. From Mr. Prosper, lead data scientist. Let's say this message was forwarded to you through an email. From Mr. Prosper, lead data scientist, close the bracket. Then you go down, you write subject. Subject, please format data for analysis. This is just like the task you are given. Please format data for analysis. That is the subject of the letter. Then the body of the letter is, hi, I hear you are the new associate data scientist on the team. Welcome. The body, hi, I hear you are the new associate data scientist on the team. Welcome. The next paragraph, have you written that? The next paragraph, have you written that? Please, I want to know if you have written to that extent. Can I continue? I'm not hearing you. Please respond fast. Have you written that?
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Continuation. We are currently working on a project to segment students based on their entertainment preferences. We are currently working on a project to segment students based on their entertainment preference. I said, we are currently working on a project to segment students based on their entertainment preference. Did you get that?
Then based on
Eh?
Student
Based on their entertainment preferences.
okay,
Have you written that?
yes.
Okay. The next paragraph. Could you format the data in this spreadsheet? So there's a spreadsheet data you'll be given. So they are referring to it. Could you format the data in this spreadsheet so that it is at the correct row granularity? Could you format the data in this spreadsheet so that it's at the correct row granularity for student level analysis? For student level analysis. So that is a question. Now, the assignment key feature, key objective rather, the assignment key objective as a subheading. The assignment key objective. 1, read the Excel file into a pandas data frame. Read the Excel file into a pandas data frame. Are you with me?
Read, read.
Read the Excel file into a pandas data frame. Have you written that?
Yes.
Let's be fast with the writing. Number 2, check the number of rows and columns. Number 2, check the numbers of rows and columns. Check the number of rows and columns. Have you written that?
Yes, sir.
Number 3, determine the row granularity needed. Determine the what? The row granularity needed. That is number 3. Have you written that?
Yes.
Number 4, apply the correct data frame transformation. Apply,
Hmm?
apply the correct data frame transformation. Number 6, check the number of rows and columns. Are you there? Always notify me once you are there. Let me so that I can move forward.
Number 6.
Check the number of rows and columns. Now, hints, at the end of your exercise, you shouldn't have more than 150 rows. But the data you are given has about 600 rows. At the end of your restructuring, the 600 rows will have changed to 150. So once you can have 150 rows, it means you are on the right path. So those are the things you are to do as your assignment. Like I said, I am taking this assignment as our classwork, but you go and implement it later. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me just write assignment. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is assignment solution. So I'm bypassing the question because you have written them. So the first thing we are going to do as part of, you can be writing your steps. So then the first thing for us to solve this is we are to create a folder on desktop, which we have already created. Let's say you are starting this assignment. You create a folder on desktop. Then step 2, transfer the data. There's a data set that is in that data folder that I gave you, which you are going to transfer into that folder. So I'm just recapping the step before I proceed. Then you now open your Jupyter notebook. Then switch to the desktop directory. Select that folder that you created. Then create assignment notebook. Then import pandas library as PD. Then create your data variable to be entertainment. Did you understand what I'm just reading out the steps? I'm summarizing the steps. Then the last thing you are going to do is create a data variable, e.g. entertainment, and then you will now call in the Excel file. Now, the file if you look at the question, the first question says what? Read the Excel file. I think let me be writing the question so that we know at which stage what we are doing. But before this, I need to read that data. I need to follow the steps I just read out now to get the data here before we can start answering the questions. So now, if I go to my desktop, I have a folder here called data. I have a folder here called data. Now, inside this data, I have, a folder called class. Then inside this class, you have data. Inside this data, this is the Excel file you are to read. If you look at the first question, read the Excel file into a pandas data frame. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
That is the first question. Now, it is a deliberate action to leave it at Excel instead of CSV that we are familiar with, so that you know how to read pure Excel. And this is to tell you that it's not only CSV data you can load. So there is a method for loading Excel file in your notebook. So we have already found out where the data is and the name of that data. Now, the next thing we are going to do, like I said, you create your variable. So the variable should be, we have already imported pandas here, so we don't have to import pandas again. We have pandas here already. So we just go straight to the variable. So the variable, let's say, I would say my data variable or data variable, entertainment. Then equals to, as usual, then you now say PD dot read underscore Excel. You see, instead of read underscore CSV. Then, of course, you call in the name of the data. So what is the name of the data again? Is entertainment from, let's go to our directory, like I said. If you open this now, it should be there. So it means that we have to move one step back. If we move one step back, it will enter data, data folder. Then another one step, once we move one step back, it will enter data. And once it enters data, then it cannot access the entertainment data we are looking for. So what I'm going to do here, I will just do dot. Let me try 2 dot first, 2 dot slash. So which means take 2 steps back. The first step, enter data. The second step, then you reach out to that entertainment. So we have already found out that the name of the data set is entertainment. Entertainment, then slash, is in Excel format. So which is going to be, so here, so our first directory is not entertainment, it's data. It's data slash. Good. Once we get to data, then you can access this. And here you put the extension, which is dot s.
Excel.
That is a SLSS, which is Excel format. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now let's run it and see whether we'll get an error. So there's an error, no such directory. It means we move beyond the location. So let me remove 1 and press. Good. So it is already accessed once it did not output error. Now, for me to confirm if I actually have the data here, I will just type ENT. Now, let me show you something. Now, we are about calling this variable entertainment. Now, anytime you want to call an existing variable, once you type the first 2 letters, just press your tab button on the keyboard. Press your tab button. It will bring it out. Then you press enter. You don't have to type it in full because it's an existing variable. Now, let me run it and see I have the data here. Now, you can see that we just completed. What we just did here now is, if we go by the question, let me follow the question. The question is what? Read what? What's the first question? Check your note. Question 1, they say we should do what? Are you there?
Read the Excel file into a pandas data frame.
Read the Excel file into a pandas data what? Frame. So we just completed that now. Now, after reading the Excel file, what do you observe? How many records do you have here?
600.
And how many columns? 3, right?
3.
Now, the hint I give you, I said at the end of this exercise, this 600 should be what?
150.
Good. That is how you know that you're on the right path. So we just completed that. So the next question now, let's go there. That is question 2. Read it out for me quickly.
Check number of rows and columns.
Check numbers of what? Rows and column. That's our first question. That's our second question. So to do this, we will just simply type the name of the variable and add a method called shape. So I just told you now, just type the ENT, then press your tab button, press enter to call that variable, then dot shape, and then run it. So that has given us what? That information. What is the next question?
Determine row granularity needed.
Determine
Row granularity needed.
row what?
Granularity needed.
Row granularity. Narrative model or what?
Needed.
Okay, needed. Now, what we are going to do here is we are going to check something. For example, now we want to see how many times we have Emily, because the row granularity is talking about reducing the volume of the vertical structure of the data. You can see Emily is repeated in several places if we go on like that. So we want to confirm something. Let's check how many, let's call only record for Emily. So from there, we will know whether we can actually reduce them. So the tax here, let me just put comments so that you can understand it. Display name equals to Emily. So what we are going to do here, this is just like we are selecting sub data from the main data. So we call the variable name. Then use your selection bracket because you are picking from the entire data. And then we will now call that variable. So we are selecting this from this data. Then after this, we will concatenate with the criteria for the selection. So we just simply say name equals to, then Emily is a string. So we have to put it in quotation. So you follow the way it's spelled in the data set. And then if I run this now, you see that what? It calls out only. So you can see that how many times do we have Emily in that data set? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So which means that there's every possibility of us restructuring this, just like what we did the other time using that pivot. We can collapse this. We can convert this to a column so that all this row can be splitted into column. Now, but this is not what we actually wanted. What we wanted is that every row should represent one student. That is the target. Every row should represent a student. But what you have here now, look at only Emily alone. Is repeated in 4 rows, which means that it is not proper. You can't pass this data model. You can't pass it into analysis model. So how do we achieve that? So the tax here, just to put it in proper context, the tax here is I want to see the numbers of hours, the number of hour Emily play video game each week, and the number of hours she watch TV show. So what is the next question? That will not take us to the next question because we just use this to confirm that there are repeated value which can be reshaped or restructured. So what that will not take us to the 4th question. So the 4th question, we put it. What's the 4th question? Let me know if you are still there.
Apply the correct data from transformation.
Good. So you can see that with this confirmation now, this is not the correct data. This is not the correct one. You have to apply the correct one. So let me write the question again. Apply the correct, because you can't analyze this data the way it is. You are going to end up having error or misleading statistics. Transformation. So to do this, can you recommend the format we are going to use? It's something you have already know from what we started with. Can you try?
Using the
Where you have this kind of scenario, where you have rows repeated, how do you split those rows into columns and end up reducing the dimension of the data?
use the group by function.
The what?
The group by.
No, we can't use group by now. Look at, let me take you back. What group by did here? Do you understand what he did here?
Yes.
Group by with sum, right?
Um,
Not after summing. Now look at what we did here. This is what should give an idea of what we want to do. So we are going to use this, the pivot.
okay.
Good. Because we are reducing, this is a dimensionality reduction. It's part of what I explained in those slides as one of the major things you do under row granularity. You are reducing the dimension of the data by splitting the unique value into columns. So now what we are going to do here, we are going to call that data set, what is the name? Entertainment. Then concatenate it with the pivot method. Then remember the syntax for the pivot method. You call your index. Sorry, it's going to output error. Your index, then equals to, then name follow, then comma, followed by column, your columns, the column you are focusing on here will be entertainment column, entertainment. That will be your column, but remember, is a string, so we need to put it in quotes. Then comma, then your value. And if I wanted them to be in a vertical, then I have to wrap everything in that fragment. That's the parenthesis bracket. Now values is equals to hours underscore. You can copy them from, so that when you have a long text like this, to avoid mistake, let me just copy it. So entertainment, I think I'm correct with it. Okay. Now, if I run it, you can see it now. So have we answered that question? What was the hint I gave you? At the end of the day, it will be what?
150 rows.
Or column. So what we have done now is what I told you under unsupervised supervised algorithm, which is under row, what is it called? Dimensionality reduction. So what we have done now is that we have ended up reducing the dimension of this data, and it's now in the proper structure for passing into analysis model. Any question?
No.
Okay, so if there is no question, what you are going to do now, you hope you have written down all this, because you are going to share your screen now and get to this same place before we look at the next topic. So when we return, our next topic, if you're able to finish it fast, is going to be preparing, because what we are doing since is preparing the column. Preparing column. Let me just type it then. Prepare columns for modeling. So this will be our next topic once we come back after your class exercise. So you're going to answer the questions again. I think you have to do it here so that we'll be sure that you have mastered it. So share your screen now. You have the data with you.
No, still do it as assignment.
Hmm?
As assignment.
If you want to do it as an assignment, that means we have to stop here, because we are not supposed to step into the next one without completing that task.
See on Thursday.
You are looking for a way to run. I don't want it to be an assignment. Do it here.
My data has finished.
Okay, so just take it as an assignment.